Day two of Big Ten Media Days in Chicago. Ohio State's Ryan Day and Oregon's Dan Lanning fought for center stage. And it's too bad we have to wait until November 7th before they face off again on the field, probably with the Big Ten title on the line. Let's discuss it. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Greg Schiano. Coming up, today's episode brought to you by Kalshi. That's right. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code Locked On to get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade $25. We'll have our Big Ten Classics coming up. More storylines than you can shake a stick at with our football coaches at Media Day. We're going to get back into that, plus center stage, Day two, Chicago. With all due respect to all the coaches that were out there, this was a day for Ryan Day and Dan Lanning competing for our attention, right? Day two, Big Ten Media Days at the Hilton, Chicago. And this was a day after Commissioner Tony Petitti kicked things off by telling the world that the Big Ten is the most dominating conference in America. Well, that was, of course, Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we showcased a couple of reasons why Big Ten football is so good as Ryan Day and Dan Lanning took center stage. Both of the coaches, they're destined to square off at the first week of November with everything on the line. Well, I'm going to get to that. But first and foremost, let's talk about this. It's my opinion that the conference championship and all the spoils that come with it regarding the playoffs is a three-team race right now. I think four teams get into the playoffs, but I think three teams are going to fight for the Big Ten championship. It's going to be between Oregon, Ohio State, and defending Big Ten and national champion Indiana. By the way, Kurt Signetti highlights the docket for day three today on Thursday, Big Ten Media Days, among all about a half a dozen coaches that are going to speak. We'll get into that and who's on the docket, who's going to say what and when, all that in a minute. But this game in November between Ohio State and Oregon may decide which team gets to the Big Ten final. Maybe. If things go swimmingly before that. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to start with Ohio State. So I think they have a tougher than usual schedule this year. First, there's the week 2 non-con versus Texas. That's a given. But you know what? Win or lose that game, they can survive it. It really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things with the Big Ten and getting into the playoffs. Whoever wins that game is going to be great. Whoever loses it is not going to be the end of the season by any stretch. But there's a 3-game stretch leading up to and including the Oregon game for the Buckeyes that has Buckeye fans concerned, or at least it should. Beginning October 17th, they're at Bloomington for a Big Ten championship rematch game from last year. This is going to be the most expensive ticket in Indiana football history. Everybody's going to want to go and check that one out. Survive that or not. Then they get a bye week before traveling all the way out to the West Coast to take on USC. That'll be a huge game at the Coliseum. The Trojans, by the way, were 7-0 at home last year. Then Ohio State comes home to face Oregon. So that is a tough 3-game stretch right there. And I haven't even mentioned the season finale versus the team from up north. At least that's in Columbus this year, but you never know what's going to happen in that game. You just don't. So we're all used to Ohio State going 12-0, maybe 11-1. They get to 10-2. It's a bad season all of a sudden, right? I mean, you're not allowed to lose any games at Ohio State. That's just kind of the deal. That's the expectation. The fan base, Ryan Day's talked about it. You're not allowed to lose any games. You can't. So if we're going to be honest here, those 5 games I just mentioned, they could lose them all. They could. They're going to be tough games. They can win them all. They can win a few and lose a few. It's going to be pretty tough. In reality, though, no matter how many of those previous 3 games, 3 of the 5 that I just mentioned, how many of they win, it doesn't matter. That Oregon game is going to be the crucial one. You know, one theme that Ryan Day continued to drill down on at Media Days is something he's talked about repeatedly here in this offseason, especially. The Buckeyes have a goal to be bigger and stronger and play better in the fourth quarter. What does he mean by that, right? Well, think about it. Ohio State blows a lot of people out in the regular season. They're usually up by 30 points. So their fourth quarters aren't really that intense. Sometimes the backups are in. Sometimes they're just kind of slowing play. Pace of play is a thing. They're running out the clock. Not as sharp, not as tight. And then when they get into the fourth quarter in the postseason, like against Indiana, the Big Ten championship game, suddenly they're not as battle-tested as they should be, not as intense as they should be. Sometimes they play like it, maybe. So anyway, that's Ryan Day's thought process this year. However, as I just noted, as did Ryan Day at Media Days, the schedule this year is a little tougher. There might be some tighter games in the fourth quarter. So if he wants to play big in the fourth quarter, he might get some more experience doing that in the regular season, not have to wait for the postseason. Now, let's look at Oregon after, of course, Dan Lanning spoke as well. He's been in the Big Ten for 2 years. He's made the playoffs 2 years. He has exited the playoffs 2 years with lopsided losses, both to Big Ten teams, by the way, Ohio State and Indiana. But they do have a Big Ten championship banner to show for it. They did go undefeated their first year 2 years ago, and they got a Big Ten championship. So the 2026 season openers, I'm looking at their schedule. Interesting game against Boise State to start it out. And then they open up Big Ten play later on at USC. And they also have an interesting game, I think, on the road at Illinois in late October. That could be a tough game. I think Illinois at home is going to be tough. And then they have a home date against Northwestern before their epic battle versus Ohio State. So those games I just mentioned leading up to the Ohio State game, Oregon will enter the Ohio State game with a much easier schedule than Ohio State. But this is the interesting part. With USC and Ohio State, those two games on Oregon's schedule, they're already circled. They are season make or break games for both the Trojans and the Buckeyes. So those teams are going to be ready to go dunk hunting, and they're going to give Dan Lanning and company their all-out best effort. Now, for Oregon, here's the hard part. Both of those games are on the road. Two biggest games of the year on the road this year. That is going to be tough. But at the end of the day, as Dan Lanning emphasized at Media Days, he feels like his Ducks are close. I mean, they've I don't know if you realize this or not, but in the last 2 years, everybody talks about Kurt Cignetti in Indiana. I think he's 27-2. Dan Lanning and the Ducks are 26-3 over the last 2 years. They are close. They are close. He's right when he emphasizes that they're close. So, look, he likes his roster's veteran experience, even more so than the stockpile of raw talent that they just keep reloading every year. He loves the growth that he has seen in quarterback Dante Moore, who, by the way, delayed his entry into the NFL draft, where he surely would have gone in the top 2 picks. But he wants to play one more year at Oregon, so you got that kind of talent coming back. Lanning also expressed this week his confidence in his new coordinators. This is another challenge. Lost offensive and defensive coordinators. They moved on, head coaching jobs. So offensive coordinator Drew Maringer and defensive coordinator Chris Hampton will be new at their jobs. He doesn't think that they will miss a beat because they know what's going on. They've been with the program. They are good to go. But a lot of exciting talk this week between Dan Lanning and Ryan Day. A lot of high expectations, like the highest of expectations. And now we're ready to go. And now we got to start. Now we're counting the days at the beginning of the season, but already counting to that, November 7th date between Ohio State and Oregon. Can't wait for it. Now we're down to the final day, Thursday, day 3 of the Big Ten Media Days in Chicago. So the coaches slated to talk today. Indiana coach Kurt Cignetti off of a national championship. He'll be great for sound bites, news stories. I can't wait. We'll talk about it. Mike Loxley, a very likable guy in front of the media. He always does a nice job on these things for Maryland. He's got to win some games, though. Got an exciting quarterback. We'll see what he can do. Kyle Whittingham, Michigan. He's going to get a lot of attention. He and Cignetti going to be fighting it out. We'll probably talk about both of those guys tomorrow a little bit. Ward Manuel will come up. I don't know if Ward's made the trip to Chicago for this or if he's laying low. You know, he fired, hired, quit, resigned, but he's hanging on until December. Bryce Underwood, he'll be there making the rounds. A lot of pressure on him. Nebraska's Matt Rule will speak. David Braun, Northwestern. You know what? Northwestern, interesting year this year. They got a quarterback in Aiden Childs. They got a good offensive line. They got a good running game. They got Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator. They got a new stadium. They have a tough schedule, though. But I think they're going to be better this year. And then Jed Fish. I expect when is Washington going to jump up into that upper tier? They're knocking on the door. They're right there. He's going to speak. So we got all that going on at Big Ten Media Days today, and that will wind it down, and everybody starts practice next week, and then we'll be counting down the days until the games. But Duck fans and Buckeye fans, I want to hear from you. What are your expectations this year? You both can't go win a championship. One of you is going to lose. You're going to be in the mix. But I want to hear from you. Duck fans, you've been a little quiet on the comments. Haven't heard from you in a while. Buckeye fans are there. I want to hear from all of you. So which games on your schedules are you most scared and concerned about? That's what I want to talk about. Give me a comment on that. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. If you are on YouTube, please hit that free subscribe button. We're at 29,500. I want to get to 30,000 before the start of the season. I'd like to do it before that as well. Here's what happens. If you subscribe, you get this podcast as soon as it's available each and every day. You get alerts when we go live on Saturdays after all the big games. We go live after all the big games on Saturdays. You'll get an alert on that, and you'll be the first one to get this podcast each and every day. All things Big Ten. Don't miss a thing. Plus, you can share, follow, like, and comment. We always ask you to do that. If you are on Apple or Spotify, Apple, hit that plus follow button, please. If you're on Spotify, the plus save button. These things help the algorithm. It gets us out there. More people can find us, and it would be great. I would really appreciate it. We also have a website called talkbig10.com. We put all of our podcasts there. You can go back for a second listen. They're all archived there. Find out what we're about if you're new. We also have 18 different Big Ten stores with each school. Go there, get shirts, T-shirts, hats with your school logo on it just for you. Check it out. It's all there at talkbig10.com. I'd love to have you check that out. Now, we spent a lot of time talking about Commissioner Tony Petitti's comments in yesterday's podcast about from day one on media days and some big important topics that we talked about. So what it means is we also didn't spend enough time on the other coaches that talked. Every one of them said something that got my attention, something I think we could build some storylines on and develop throughout the year on the podcast. I'm going to go back and kind of highlight some of those from the first day. And I'll just circle back at what caught my ear and caught my eye while they were kind of in the shadow of the commissioner on that. We'll do that. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about there. Big Ten Classics coming up. That's all next. Coming up here on Locked On Big Ten, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Indeed. I want to tell you about Indeed sponsored jobs. I used to have to hire people. I didn't like it because it's a busy, stressful time, because I got more work to do because I don't have the employee that I need, and additional work trying to find resumes and interview people and get the right person. And then you're always afraid of hiring the wrong person, and you start all over again. Indeed sponsored jobs helps blow through all of that stuff. So when you got all that workplace chaos hitting and you need the right hire, Indeed sponsored jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs, like skills and certifications and location. So less time gets spent searching, more time gets spent finding the right fit. Did you know in the time that I've been talking to you right now, companies like yours have just made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So take all the stress, find the right person, get your office moving forward. So check them out with Indeed sponsored jobs. And again, just make your life easier and just do it. Listeners and viewers of this podcast will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. You want to go to games? Go to Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. And games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part isn't usually deciding that you want to attend. That's the fun part. Hey, everybody, let's go. Actually getting the tickets can be difficult. And sometimes it's your responsibility with the group, right? So between the long wait times and confusing checkout processes and surprise fees and buying tickets, it can just feel harder than it really should and kind of take some of the excitement away. So that's why many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple, upfront pricing, seat views before you buy. That's my favorite feature. Click on the seat with the little price, and then boom, a picture of the view of the seat you're about to buy the ticket for, and then you don't have to worry about how your view is going to be. exclusive savings opportunities that help you get to the events that you want without the usual hassle. Check it out now. It's just something different about being there live. You know, the live crowd reaction, the energy in the building, instead of watching it on TV like most of us do. So Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets of every type of ticket, making it easy for yourself. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON, Locked On for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. Thank you, everydayers, for making us go. If you're once in a while, join us more often. We are here every single day talking about all 18 Big Ten teams. We'd love to have you here more. While you're here, please hit that free subscribe button. Always free. That way you'll never miss a single episode, all right? So as I mentioned, on the first day, a couple days ago, Big Ten Media Days, we spent a lot of time talking about the big, broad topics of Tony Petitti, the commissioner, when he spoke. There's a lot of important stuff going on right now in college football. And we didn't pay as much attention to some of the coaches. And I like them all, and they all had something interesting to say. And I kind of want to run through that right now with you. Starting off with Illinois' Bret Bielema. He's always good. He comes up there full of energy, talks fast. He leads it off every year. And I don't know why he's the one that leads it off every year. Is it alphabetical with B, Bret Bielema? I don't know. But you can always count on him to take a shot at something to make you laugh or smirk, like the SEC. He says, hey, we're not, they think we're living in 2005, back when they were good. They were the best. They're not. The Big Ten's the best. So I like that. Bielema, after winning 19 games in 2 years, 2 bowl wins over SEC teams, by the way. But he did with Luke Altmaier at quarterback. He's now in the NFL. And now Bielema has to replace him this year. He seems pretty excited about quarterback Caden Hauser, who once upon a time, you may recognize his name from Michigan State and then East Carolina. But got him. Bielema said something very frank. He said, look, he loves this day and age of name, image, and likeness. Most coaches hate it. 2 years in a row, he's gotten up there talking about how he loves it. He loves where coaching is at. Nil revenue share. He admitted in the past that Illinois would never have been able to land Hauser at quarterback, or his left tackle, Christian Martin, or his right tackle, or his guard. Point taken. I mean, he says he's been able to do this now because of name, image, and likeness, and he can spend some money. There was Rutgers' Greg Schiano, who came up there as enthusiastic as I've ever seen him. Always have big respect for him. I've always said that Greg Schiano is the perfect coach for Rutgers. Rutgers is the perfect school for Greg Schiano. He's very excited about this team. And by the way, they may have the best running back in the league, believe it or not, Antoine Raymond. And their wide receiver, KJ Duff, he's one of the best receivers in the league. So look for a little explosiveness for Rutgers this year. Now, where Schiano made his point was about the school's flow chart. He says for the first time, he's got total buy-in from the president, the board, the athletic department, the team. Everybody is on the same page in Piscataway, and he's excited about it. And he says it's working. And then he went on to say, he's got the most talented and deepest team that he's ever had. So take the over on the win totals for the wins for Rutgers, maybe. Then Penn State's Matt Campbell spoke. This is his first Big Ten Media Days, obviously coming over from Iowa State. Boy, that dude's intense. Like he talks just like he's wired, right? He's got 40 transfers coming in, 24 of them from Iowa State. It's Iowa State East. And did you notice a lot of people are high on Penn State? We did our power rankings earlier. I can't remember. I think we had them 7th. I've seen them up pretty high. So there's a couple things at play here. I'm a little curious because I'm kind of like wait and see mode because half this team is made up of Iowa State kids from the middle of the pack of the Big 12 coming to the better Big 10. Are they going to be able to compete at the highest level in the Big 10? I don't know. And that starts with quarterback Rocco Becht. He only completes 60% of his passes over his career. He's thrown for 9,000 yards, 64 touchdowns, 27 interceptions in 42 career games. So he's experienced. But what level of play is he going to play against Big Ten defenses? They don't have defenses like this in the Big 12. So I'm concerned there. However, I think some of the enthusiasm for Penn State this year rising back up is their schedule is very favorable. I was looking at, they could go 5-0 starting out the season, going into their home game against USC. So they'll have USC going east. That's going to be the first game that $700 million renovation will be completely done. It'll be a packed house. It'll probably be a whiteout game unless Big Noon on Fox forces that to noon. And then after that, they got a game against Michigan. So back-to-back USC and Michigan. That's tough. No Ohio State, by the way. So worst case scenario, they lose those two. The back five, very winnable. Toughest game might be at Washington. So 10-2 is out there. 9-3? I shouldn't say 10-2. 10-2 is a sore spot with Penn State fan. How many times they go 10-2 and not make the 4-team playoff because those two losses were always Ohio State and Michigan. So we're going to explore this further in a future podcast, maybe first thing next week. Then Wisconsin's Luke Fickell spoke. It's a do-or-die season for Luke Fickell. He seemed pretty intense, didn't really make great eye contact, seemed almost apologetic at the podium, admitting that these 3 years there have been not up to the standard. He recognizes that, and people are upset with him. But he claimed, though, that the team could start to see things clicking a little bit behind the scenes with the younger players about 9 months ago, near the end of the season. He said it wasn't obvious to people outside the program, but inside they could tell toward the end of the year that things are starting to click. Now, maybe this is just coach speak. Maybe it's coach hype. Maybe it's real. He insists there's a new vibe. He mentioned vibe 3 times. Does that translate to wins? He's got 33 transfers, got a lot of new players, and they do open up the season at Lambeau versus Notre Dame. Then the dean spoke. Iowa's Kirk Ferentz. Been there, done that. Entering his 28th season, all-time winningest coach in the Big Ten. Finished in the AP Top 25, 6 of the last 8 seasons, 13 straight winning seasons. One of 4 teams without a losing season in the college football playoff era. There's always a high standard, and I never know how they do it because they never have a quarterback. They never have wide receivers. They just win games. This will be the 3rd straight season with a different starting quarterback, by the way. Now, Kirk Ferentz does have some concerns. He's got to replace 3 offensive linemen that graduated. All of their special teams specialists, kickers, snappers, the whole thing. That's been a secret sauce, secret strength of the Hawkeyes. And they all need to be replaced. Also, 7 of the top 8 defensive linemen, all gone. So he said this year, there's going to be rotating a lot of people in, finding depth. Nobody's, going to be a stalwart who's going to get 500 snaps. It's going to be a mixture, going to be a group effort, as he says. Toughest part of the Hawkeyes schedule, end of September, beginning of October. September 26th, they're at Michigan. Come back home October 3rd, Ohio State. That one's going to be interesting. I wonder if that's a night game. And then closing out that first day, USC's Lincoln Riley. It's, I talked about how Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, it's do or die, right? For Lincoln Riley, it's playoffs or bust. It's a little bit of a different level. But he's entering his 5th season. He's 35-18, all fine and decent. But the Trojan fans are looking for more. He's got to deliver. He's got to get into the playoffs. He wants to. The things he talked about. He wants to establish that Coliseum as a tough place to play. They were 7-0 there last year. They got Oregon at home. That's big. So they got Oregon. They got Washington at home. They're at Penn State, the game I just mentioned, where the renovations will be done. Maybe a whiteout if it's at night. Maybe big noon. We'll find out. They also have Ohio State. It's at the Coliseum, but then they go to Indiana. Interesting schedule for the Trojans. So he talked about, just like Schiano at Rutgers, great alignment with the administration, working all down from the president to all the important board people to athletic director. He feels like they have all the tools. They just pulled in the top recruiting class last year. They're among the top this year. He says there's a lot of momentum with the program. He reiterated he wants to, because he was asked about the Notre Dame rivalry. He wants it to continue. And of course, it's over now after 100 years. He suggested strongly that it was Notre Dame that canceled it. Again, fact check here. USC wants it, but they want it early. In September when you play your non-conference schedule. Notre Dame wanted to keep it the way it does, mid-season at South Bend or at the end of the season when it's at USC. And USC didn't want to do that. They didn't want to risk a late loss like that. Play a non-conference game earlier in the year. You could survive it. That's what USC's thinking. I don't blame them, by the way, in this day and age. I don't. All right. if you're new to our podcast, we always have features at the end. Mondays, our top 10 observations from the weekend. Tuesday tweets. Hit me up on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. I'll put it on the show. Wednesdays, we power rank. Yesterday, we power ranked the football teams for the first time, 1 through 18. Go back and check it out for a second listen after this one, and you'll see how we're heading into the season with our mindset. Thursdays, we look at Big Ten Classics. Fridays, tomorrow, we make picks. Big Ten Classics on the Big Ten Network coming up here this weekend. It's hot out anyway. Get outside, get in the air condition, and check them out. Relive some of the glory days of yesteryear. That's next here on Locked On Big Ten, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. I'm going to tell you about Kalshi. And before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the conference? Who makes it to the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at the end of the year? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. That's right. For example, right now, I checked it out. They got Ohio State trading at 31% probability to win the college football national championship on Kalshi. Now, I think that's just a little high. Just a little, not a lot. So I would sell, right? What about you? I think that's a high number. These are the kind of things you can do with Kalshi. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market. Like me, peers like me go against me. Meaning there's no house, right? And as the probability changes, you can buy in or out of your position. You can trade the draft pick, the game, all that and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use the code LOCKED ON and get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade $25. That's Kalshi with a K, Kalshi. Kalshi, trade on anything. Got to be 18 or over. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. It is now time to take a look at our Big Ten Classics on the Big Ten Network coming up this weekend. We don't list them all. We just highlight some things you'd be interested in. If you're on audio only, Spotify or Apple, I'm going to put them on screen. It's just a list, dates, and events, and we'll run through it here. I'm going to pick it up with Friday the 31st. Can you believe July is over? July 31st on Friday. 1 o'clock, Big Ten Live. They're going to be re-airing all the Big Ten Media Days on Friday. In fact, they're going to re-air them a lot throughout the weekend in various orders and slide them in. So if you missed your favorite coach, you can check it out throughout the weekend. I just happened to mention the ones on Friday at 1 o'clock. By the way, they're going to start with day 2. They're going to go day 2, then day 1, then day 3, out of order. I don't know why. 1 o'clock, Big Ten Live, Big Ten Football Media Day. That's day 2 they're going to show. So that will be the Wednesday day. Then at 7:30, you get home from work, another one. They're going to air day 1 from Tuesday with Tony Petitti and all the coaches, all the way, Bret Bielema, all the way through Lincoln Riley. And then at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, they're going to run the third and final day, which will lead off with Curt Cignetti. And that should be a lot of fun. Kyle Whittingham in the mix. So that's what's on the Big Ten Network on Friday. Check the listings if they got other times for this stuff. Saturday, August 1st. Here we are, August. I'm going to pick it up at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Again, they're going to re-air a lot of these. They'll air them in order here. 10:30 a.m. Eastern, day 1, the Tuesday day. Day 2 will be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 2:30, day 3, in order. Very easy. And then they cap it off at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific with an Indiana football classic. They're going to re-air the Big Ten championship game. Indiana and Ohio State was a field goal game. It was exciting from first week of December last year. And, of course, Indiana with the win. Hoosier fans might want to check that one out. And then on Sunday, I'm all over the board here with a couple of morning things at 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific, so still late Saturday night for you. Again, they're doing another Indiana football classic. This time, they will air the Indiana Penn State game. Oh, yeah, I love that if you're an Indiana fan. Sorry, Penn State. That's the one that put Fernando Mendoza in the Heisman seat there with the throw to Omar Cooper Jr. One of the greatest toe-tapping catches in the back of the end zone you'll ever see. The game-winning touchdown is the Hoosiers won over Penn State 27-24 in that game. At 6 o'clock, they'll do a UCLA football classic, emphasizing a pretty tough stretch for Penn State because it's when UCLA beat Penn State as well. Nico Iamaleava passing for 2 touchdowns and ran for 3 more scores that led the Brewers to a 42-37 win over the 7th-ranked Nittany Lions. And then fast forward to just after noon, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, a Nebraska football classic. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl versus Boston College from December of 2024. Dylan Raiola, this is his freshman year, passing for 228 yards and a touchdown to lead the Cornhuskers to a 2015 victory over the Eagles at Yankee Stadium. So there you have it. Big Ten Classics going into the weekend. Again, it's 100 degrees everywhere. Go inside of the air conditioner, turn on the TV, and relive some of these great memories. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff we look at on Thursdays. Tomorrow we'll look at some futures picks, more from Big Ten Media Days, more thoughts, more storylines. We got you covered from top to bottom. All 18 Big Ten teams. It's what we do on a regular basis. See, you see the media talking to all 18 coaches and all 18 teams. That's what we do on this podcast. All 18, all year long. Not just one team here on Locked On Big Ten. All of them. So thanks for checking us out. If you know another Big Ten friend, let them know we're out here. Hit that share button. Whatever you do, hit that subscribe button, please, for free. We're trying to get to 30,000 before the start of the season. That way you'll get this podcast as soon as it's available each and every day. You'll get notifications, especially when we go live on Saturdays, so you don't miss anything. So check it out. Subscribe, follow Locked On Big Ten, and that would be fantastic. If you're on Apple or Spotify, hit the plus button, the plus follow button on Apple, the plus share button on Spotify, and that way you'll never miss a single episode, and it helps us out reaching other people as well. Don't forget we're on Twitter at Talk Big Ten, our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts are archived. And also we got 18 Big Ten stores there where you can buy your Big Ten merchandise ahead of the season and show a little school spirit. That'll do it for us here today. Had a blast. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Schiano. We'll see you next time.